The Witches 1990 versus The Witches 2020. Hope you enjoy. Round 1 story. In the original, in order to warn Luke about witches, his grandmother tells him a story about Erica, who has quite a horrifying experience. She went missing for a short while after being kidnapped by a witch, and then her family eventually found her in one of their paintings. This is a creepy scene, especially with stuff like this. And in the new one, his grandmother tells him a story about her friend Alice, who did what no kid should do, take candy from strangers. And if you've seen the movie, yep, she ends up turning into a chicken. The scene is also creepy, especially if you were in that situation, but it's also played for laughs. Both these stories were in the book. I do prefer the scene in the original though, a bit more creepy. So yep, the winner's the original Witches. Round 2 main plot. In the original, while on holiday with his grandmother, Luke ends up trapped in the same meeting room as a dozen witches and finds out their evil plan to transform every child in England into a mouse. With help from his grandmother, he's the only one that can stop them. This is a good spooky plot. And in the new one, it's mostly a similar plot, where he and his grandmother go on holiday to hide from witches, and he ends up trapped in the meeting room and learning their evil plan. This plot is nice, but I prefer the original. So like I just gave away, the winner's the original Witches. Round 3 characters. In the original, you got Bruno, who's greedy and also a bit braggy, saying his family got 3 cars. He's nicer than what he is in the book though. Can't mention Bruno without mentioning his parents, who Bruno says are strict, and his dad's a bit of a cheater at times towards his wife, hitting on the Grand High Witch at some times. They're all white characters. You got Mr. Stringer, who yep is played by no other than the star of Mr. Bean himself, Rowan Atkinson. So yeah, for that reason alone, he's quite a nice character. He definitely acts more serious than Mr. Bean does. You got Luke's grandma. She's quite a nice grandma-like character. And finally, you got the boy turned mouse himself, Luke. He's a nice character. So yeah, these characters are quite nice. In the new one, you once again got Bruno's parents, who didn't have as much screen time as in the original and never got their son back after he was turned into a mouse. Bruno's father was less rude than he was in the original though. This is when Luke's grandmother was trying to explain the situation to them, and his wife got scared of a mouse Bruno. Mr. Jenkins called her out on it quite rudely. In the new one, he just threatened to call the manager on her and get her kicked out of the hotel. Like the original, they're all white characters. You got a new character that wasn't in the book, Daisy, aka Mary. She was an orphan girl who, like the other characters, got turned into a mouse. She's quite a nice character. It's sometimes nice to have a new character that wasn't in the book adaptation. You got Bruno, who, like his original counterpart, was greedy as well, and a bit more demanding for his so-called promised chocolate bars. Like the original, he's a nice character. You got the grandma, who's quite the character. Don't really know how to explain her. She's quite a nice character, and I prefer this one to the original. And finally, you got the main character. Unlike the original, his name's never said, so they title it as Hero Boy. So yeah, like the original, he's a nice character. They're both quite nice. The original got quite nice characters, but the new one also got an interesting grandma and a new character. So this time the winner's tie. Round 4 villain, aka the Grand High Witch. In the original, you got the witch who, out of all the witches, hates children the most, and is the leader of all witches, the Grand High Witch. With her true form alone, she's definitely a villain that would have scared a generation of children. She's quite a nice villain, does still get on her bad side. Plus, she's played by Angelica Houston, who was in things like The Addams Family and Horror Henry the movie. And in the new one, you of course got the Grand High Witch, who throughout the film speaks in a bit of a weird accent. She might not have a creepy, hideous face like the original Grand High Witch, but when I first watched it, that smile definitely creeped me out. But I still like the original more. Fun fact, this version was played by Anne Hathaway. You wouldn't see the character from Princess Diaries, and this character is the same, would you? So yep, like I said, the winner's the original witches. Round 5, Fear Factor. Like what I mentioned and showed earlier, the films do have some creepy moments. In the original, you got moments like Erica trapped in the painting, and of course there's the iconic reveal scene. It didn't scare me as much as some other people, but I can see why everyone would find this creepy. And in the new one, the creepiest scene in this was definitely that creepy smile. It did creep me out when I first watched it. I can see why the original creeped people out and it is creepy, but when I first watched the new one, that smile did creep me out. So I guess I'll call this a tie. Both films do have their creepy moments after all. Yes, I know most people will say the original is scarier and that smile is just bad CGI, but I still find it creepy. So yeah, the overall winner is the original witches. The end. Hope you all enjoyed.